Justice League issue 21, which of course is written by Scott Snyder with art by Jorge Jimenez, who may also be kind of co-writing that. It's unclear. It's kind of like that whole Patrick Gleason and Tomasi thing.
Yes,
From
he's got a
Superman.
storytelling credit. So how much did you hate it, Pete? Because I read this and I'm quite into it. I'm not gonna lie, but that was to be expected. I finished it. I went, oh, I bet Pete hated that issue.
I don't hate it. Like this falls into the territory for me where it's kind of just a fun romp, but I have a hard time really taking this all that seriously.
Fair enough.
Because with Snyder, everything has to be the biggest threat ever that we've ever had. Shut up. Stop it. Stop it.
This isn't any bigger than what it has been for the last, 6 issues, though. Since that annual.
Oh, sure, not since then, but it's bigger than anything in the first part of the book. It is bigger than anything it did in Dark Knight Metal, even though that was the biggest thing ever at the time.
This is a really interesting companion and follow-up to Metal, actually, given the reveal in this.
Yeah.
And Pete doesn't remember Metal well enough to give a shit.
No, I mean, I know what you're talking about. The world full.
But, I mean, let's be honest, before we get to any of the big stuff,
mm-hmm.
It's the little thing that is the best in this book, isn't it?
Don't send a starman for a starfish's job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the bit where he's like, makes a Pitalik more like, dick on a stick plick. Dad'll love that one.
Yeah, Jarrow is not,
he's delightful.
Yeah, he's the best part of the book. I was going to say it. Jarrow's the best part of the book.
I agree, and I say that as someone who's really into all the other concept stuff that's going on.
My main problem with this issue, honestly, is that so we set up this whole thing, this utopia in the future, where we got the little Martian let Jean and Kendra know last time that everything's not as it seems. And I felt like they did nothing with the rest of the league finding out. They just come to the psychic meeting table, and they're just kind of told, and I don't know. It's just it's like it's almost like they don't do anything with the actual like crushing revelation, or I don't know. It felt undercooked to me.
Fair enough.
From a dramatic standpoint with the characters, but sure enough, Evil, because they don't even have time to process it before what turns out to be the World Forger, the Superman in white, shows up and is like, I've got you all held captive, and I'm the World Forger, blah 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 blah. Basically, you're all going to agree to go along with what I'm doing and imprison everyone who is not good, without any possibility of redemption or anything. Just they're locked away.
Yeah, it's basically everyone in the universe can be split into Doom or Justice.
Yes.
Which is what they represent. And anyone who represents Doom, get rid of them. Lock them up.
Yes. And of course they're like, no, we can't do that because we believe in rehabilitation, we believe in all these things. And he's like, well, very well then. Although the one person, because they basically go around the table saying, like, if we went back to that vote we made back in issue 1 about letting the totality hit the Earth, I wouldn't vote any differently. It was still the right thing to do because of who we are. And everyone kind of agrees with that except Batman. Batman's like, no, I don't think I would vote the same way again.
Yeah. I think it's interesting that Batman with his, harsh moral code is going, you know what? Maybe this is bigger. I like the idea that it's the mortal man without any powers that's the one that's kind of scared by this. Everyone else has got something to them. And they're like, no, we can still fight this. We can still do it. And Batman, usually the one you expect that ultra gritty determination from, no matter what, is the one that's actually quite scared. Because he's the most human in that sense.
This doesn't play for me at all. Either he is playing a long game here to betray him, or to me this feels false, because it is not so much that I don't like the idea of Batman being scared. I'm not saying that it reads wrong for me to Batman be scared. I just don't think the issue itself does enough to justify him getting to that point. I feel like everything feels too rushed for it to actually land. Like, what you're saying there, it's interesting that Batman's the one who's scared. I'm like, I would agree if I actually got that feeling. I'd agree if I actually had slow build up to him realizing and like hinting that he was scared, or it was like told in the story. Instead, it's just like this one moment. Everything happens so quick that nothing really is given the time to really I don't know, build. Like it's so popcorn to me. It just moves through everything so quickly. There's barely any
Fair
time
enough.
to, I don't know, like have any weight to any of the decisions being made. Which is what I don't like about Snyder's writing these days is I feel like he's just constantly moving through big things, and there's never any time to actually for them to stop and go, "Hey, this is huge." Like we've never dealt with anything with like this, but no, everything's just going so quickly that there's no, you know,
That's fair. I don't think I'm in.
it's
Go
meaningless,
on.
is what I'm saying. It's meaningless that it's all this biggest thing ever because everything's the biggest thing ever, so none of it has any impact to me anymore.
Yeah, but when it's this enjoyable, I'm okay. I don't know. I'm intrigued as to how the world forges around because we were told in Metal that he was killed because so you know the world forger is in charge of the multiverse and the
Mm.
dark multiverse, right? And Barbatos was kind of his pet, right? His pet dragon essentially that ate the dark multiverses before they got too big and took hold. But Barbatos rebelled, and I think Barbatos is the one that killed the World Forger, if I recall right. So interesting to see that he seems to be here now. I wonder if that gets addressed. I mean, it'd be interesting.
Multiverse, timey-wimey.
Could be.
I
Yeah.
don't know. The cliffhanger, because basically, seemingly not Batman. I don't see Batman in any of these panels, so I don't think Batman
No, he's
gets
not there.
sent with them. But the Justice League gets sent to a bigger version of Apocalypse in the future, which is basically the prison where all the villains are. We see the Sparrow and Captain Cold and a bunch of others. And the twist is that the person who runs this place takes off the helmet, and it's some older, evil-looking version of Lois Lane.
Yeah, I'm intrigued.
I'm not.
There's a little bit of cynicism for the shock value reveal,
Yeah.
but I'm intrigued to see the reasoning.
I don't know. It doesn't mean anything. I'm just like, just whatever.
Yeah.
It's just because we'll pick someone we know. Maybe he'll give it me in next issue. He might like this. Might next issue be like, this is why it's Lois. This is why it makes sense, and this is why thematically or dramatically it adds to the story for it to be Lois Lane. But right now it's just okay, whatever.
No, I'm with you. Yeah. I will say that my two favorite scenes in this book are the ones that we haven't spoken about yet. Not really.
Is this giant Mixapitalik storming through
That's
the
one of them.
thing?
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
but more specifically, he's decreating reality, and it shows that in the page with the art stopping towards the bottom. The coloring's not been done, and the pencil's fading away.
Yeah, it's still being pencil. I'm like, this is it's funny you say decreating, because this is Snyder channeling Morrison all day.
Mm.
But no, I was really into that. That moment was kind of cool. Very meta and aware, but I liked it. And the other scene I really loved is the opening scene between at the time it was what seems to be the two Supermen.
Yeah.
And you have the World Forger being like, look, I've been through all this before 1,000 times. All these dead Supermen are from different times, different universes. I've done all this. I know what you're gonna say. I know what you're gonna try. You can't do it. He's finishing his lines, and he comes to swing a punch at him, and he just stops him with a finger and just grabs his wrist and down to the ground. And I'm like, okay, no, that sold his power. Just there. It's like a simple, couple of panels just at the top of a page with just the finger and then the wrist grab.
Mm.
And I was really into that. I thought that was cool.
Yeah. I mean, it's not that I'm not completely hating it when I'm reading it. Like, it's a reasonably fun read. Some of the character back and forth is fun. Jarrow's great. But it is just kind of like, it's just kind of like fluff to me. It's like superhero fluff. Like, I'm not going to remember half of this shit in a year's time. I'm really not.
Fair enough. I'd like to think I am.
Yeah. So if we're rating it, we're more or less at that point. It's like a 6. It's a fun 6. But
Yeah, I'm going with an 8.
if I stop to think about any of this, I'm just annoyed by a lot of things.
Fair enough.
Behind it.
I mean, we've been over this. I don't think there's anything left that I can say to convince you.
Nah.
Just one of my favorite moments in the art, because the art's actually really good throughout. It's really solid, really consistent. One of my favorite moments is when the World Forger, as Superman, swings in on their psychic meeting, and he does the superhero landing on the table, and it has this big, boom lettering sound effect. Oh, that was a great little touch.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I saw like a jaded comic nerd where I'm just like, everything is the biggest thing ever, and I'm sick of it. But I think Snyder, just his philosophies with storytelling, especially with these types of characters, just isn't what I like about these characters. It's just he's just clearly into other elements of them.
Yeah,
and I mean that's fine.
nah, I've been into it. I know Matt's been into it more than you have as well.
Yeah. I wish I liked this, but I really do. Like, I think there's things I like in here, but ultimately, I don't know. Just Snyder's philosophy when it comes to storytelling, unless it seems to be horror. Although that said, he's not written anything in horror in a long time for me to really judge that if he still got it in that.
No, I mean,
respect.
Maybe that new book with Francavilla will be horror.
Yeah, I hope it is, and hopefully it's kind of returned to the form that I would like Snyder to be in.